Now, the ATO has also decided to assist businesses as well through different ways, deferring payments, varying PAYG instalments and remitting interest. So can you let us know a bit about that, Brian?
Yeah, look, I suppose, first of all, most business owners probably don't believe the ATO wants to help them, but they're saying they do. So let's see what happens there. So the ATO have come out and they've said that they will look at deferring the payment date by up to 6 months for any amounts due through business activity statements, income tax returns, and fringe benefits tax assessments. They've also said they'll allow businesses that ordinarily report on a quarterly cycle to report on a monthly cycle if there are GST refunds that they could be eligible for. And they will allow businesses that have paid PAYG instalments, so that's the tax you pay throughout the year to essentially reduce the tax you're paying at the end of your new tax return. They'll allow businesses that have paid those instalments in September and December quarters to claim that money back from the ATO, and they'll also allow you to vary the amount in the March BAS down to zero, so not having to pay those tax instalments early. They're going to remit any interest and penalties that have been incurred after the 23rd of January 2020 that have been applied to any tax liabilities, and they're also going to work with affected businesses to come up with payment plans that are sensible to their situation so that businesses can pay their debt out in a way that isn't going to cripple them from a cash flow point of view. Now, keep in mind, with all these things the ATO said they're going to do for us, they've made a very strong point that employers still need to make sure they meet their ongoing superannuation obligations. And that's really important, because if you haven't paid your superannuation for employees and you haven't lodged a super guarantee charge form by the due date, then potentially as a director, you're personally liable for that money. So you need to make sure that you're on top of the super. The ATO have also made the point that unlike the bushfire relief measures, which automatically apply to people in certain postcodes, all these relief measures they're proposing now need to be applied for. So you either need to talk to the ATO yourself or get us to negotiate with them on your behalf so that we can get this in place to help with your cash flow.
Yeah, and if you look at the ATO site, they've got a page dedicated to the COVID-19 and how they're supporting. And they said, that I've taken it word for word, verbatim off their site, that they are offering tailored support for your needs and circumstances on a case-by-case basis. So what that means is you are going to have a chat with them to understand more. I'm just going to go back to a couple of questions that have popped through, Brian, about previous things. Laura has asked, can you confirm that it's only 30% back on assets? Is that $1,500 per week? I'm just trying to understand.
So what I was saying there, Laura, was that a lot of people have this idea that if I spend, say, $100 on something that's tax deductible, my tax saving is $100. That's not the case. So the $100 reduces your taxable income, and then the tax gets calculated on that at whatever your tax rate is. So effectively, when you buy something, whether it's an asset or just an expense in your business, your tax saving is equal to your tax rate multiplied by the cost of that expense. I don't know if I've explained that particularly clearly, Ben. If I haven't, let me know and I'll do it.
No, I think that's clear. So if your tax rate is current company tax rate, which is what, 27 and something, isn't it?
27.5%.
Yeah, but I think we're rounding it off to 30% to make it easy. Yeah. So if you buy something for $1,500, then the tax would normally be $500 on that.
Yeah, so your tax saving will be $500.
Yeah. So you're not saving the full amount. You also, I mean, that's the thing, is there's also a borrowing cost if you're using borrowed money to do it as well. So there's a few things to consider if you're buying assets. I would definitely recommend that if you're unsure about what to do when it comes to buying assets, is talk to your accountant. If you don't have an amazing accountant, then talk to Brian, and I'll give you his details at the end. I gave them at the beginning there at the recording with the LinkedIn, but we'll make sure you can get in contact with Brian after this to answer your questions more, because everyone's going to have a unique situation, aren't they, Brian, where every business is going to be different. Everyone's situation is going to be different.
100%.
Yeah. Can we claim September and December's installments? Do we have to pay it back? If we claim September and December's installments, do we have to pay it back? I'm not sure what that means. Do you know what that means, Brian?
Yeah, so if you claim the refund for the September and December PAYG installments, you don't need to pay it back back, except if your business makes a profit, taxable profit for this year. Once you lodge a tax return, you have to pay whatever tax is payable at that point, or enter into an arrangement with the ATO. So,
Okay.
yes, you kind of have to pay it back if you have to pay tax, but if you don't have to pay tax, no, you don't have to pay it back.
Yeah. Jack has asked, can we talk about or point to the conditions and requirements for the 550 sole trader unemployed benefits? So that'll be in the job start. Is that through, I think if you go to treasury.gov.au, there's a whole resource page dedicated to this stimulus.
With that payment, if you're in a position where you qualify for it, just jump onto the Centrelink website and you can apply for it online, and they'll have all the information you need to get there about hey, if you're eligible for it and what information you need in order to be able to apply.
So as a sole trader, you've almost got to look at yourself as an employee that's lost their job.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So go to the Centrelink website and you should be able, you can do it all online now. They don't want you queuing up there, obviously because of the social distancing rules, but also the workload it puts on them there. Another good question here is the PAYG installment for business only for individuals is only, or is it for businesses only or individuals to example trust beneficiaries?
If you've got the PAYG installment that you've got to pay every quarter because you're getting trust distribution and you know that distribution is not going to come, then you can get it back. So the ATO has been a little bit tricky with what they've said because there's always been the ability in later quarters to change it and get a refund for PAYG installments, but it doesn't make them look good to announce it. So yeah, George, you'll be able to get that back on the next installment.
Good stuff. And Laura, she's clarifying the $1,500 a week. She's referring to the government paying up to $1,500 a week for your employees. We haven't got all the info through on that yet, Laura. It's actually $1,500, up to $1,500 per employee per fortnight, and it's just been released. We'll get that information, and I'll try and do a video on that tomorrow if I can.